Hey, True Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. 322nd post. So, yes, of course, we have to talk about the number 322, often associated with Yale's Skull and Bones. But before Yale's Skull and Bones, it was a number of much significance to this country. It was, if you will, the original September 11th. On March 22nd, 322, 1622, something happened known as the Jamestown Massacre or the Indian Massacre. And True Seeker, if you're not aware already, the word Indian has a Pythagorean gematria of 33. More on that number later. But what happened is supposedly this town was invaded by natives and everyone in the town was killed, a complete wipeout. Out of this massacre came one major new theme, a new anti-native movement. Imagine the men at the time getting together, forming defenses, wanting to kill the local natives so this didn't happen to their village someday. You know, this was a scare tactic. The other thing that came out of this was the word Virginianers. Virginianers. This was the first identity separate from being a British colonist living on a foreign land across the Atlantic. Never before had people in the region thought of themselves as anything independent from Britain, just people estranged from their native land. But now there was this new word, we're Virginianers. Out of this tragedy, people wanted an identity, a new community. And so out of it came this concept of Virginianers and also a willingness to kill the local native population. Compare that with September 11th. What's come out of this? Wars of aggression, yes. The stealing of liberties, yes. More fear, and a surveillance state. And we see how it's come in layers, from cell phones with cameras and GPS tracking in them that have essentially become a daily essential, to news programming, to legislation, to everything else. So March 22nd in history, very important. Also on this day was the Stamp Act. Stamp Act. That is what gave way to the Boston Tea Party and the American Revolution. The Stamp Act was seen as unnecessary taxation. Also, more recently, March 22nd, Universal Time, the Congress made a rare Sunday night vote to pass what is dubbed Obamacare. Really, I don't like that name because it credits to one person. Obamacare is not the doing of Obama. He's just the president, the stooge who was here when it went into effect. So he gets to have the label, but that's dishonest. The chief who led the assault, the gematria of this name is 99. Chief is 31. The name is 68. 31 plus 68 is 99. Think about 9/11. 9 times 11 is 99. So even in these ancient stories, I shouldn't say ancient, but the beginning of our history stories, the numerology is abound. So 322, this number is used by Yale's Skull and Bones, said to represent Aries, which also means March. 322, of course, takes place in the month of March. Members of this society, when they graduate, they're called bonesmen. And bonesmen has that gematria of 33, this important number that we often find coded with 322. We also often find 32, the America number. America equals 32. UK equals 32. The Declaration of Independence Day has a numerology of 32. Let's watch Bush and Kerry. These are the candidates for the 2004 presidential election. Let's watch them talk about Yale Skull and Bones. Is there a question by Tim Russell?
Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the red. Number 322? First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look forward... Are you prepared to lose? No, I'm not going to lose. You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322, a secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it. And we'll be watching.
Oh, truth secrets, so bad. John Kerry was just trying to lead us into war with ISIS not long ago. Remember that? These people are all stooges. And look, members of 322. Our presidential choices that year were between two men from the same secret society. Notice how Bush said he knew he was going to win. He also said that in 2000, and he probably did know he was going to win. It was likely all scripted. George W. Bush has the 33 life number. George W. Bush is also from Connecticut, truth seeker, not Texas, as so many people have come to believe. A town just outside of Newtown, Connecticut, where the Sandy Hook massacre happened. Sandy Hook. All right, so moving on. 322, where else do we see it? Have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones? These massive stone pillars in Georgia on the 34th parallel? They were placed where they stand on March 22nd, 322, 1980. They'll have their 35th year anniversary this March 22nd. We're currently in the 34th anniversary. On them are these 10 rules written in 12 different languages. Maintain humanity under 500 million. Where does this number come from? This is said to be the population of the earth, people, pre-agriculture, before man started growing their own food. That's where I've read this number a lot. 500 million, the estimated number of people on Earth before agriculture. Compare that with what's said to be 7 billion today. That means to get to this number, 13 out of 14 people would have to die. So the second rule is guide reproduction wisely. We can all agree to that. Unite humanity with a living new language. Perhaps that language is English, and these rules were written long ago, only etched onto these stones more recently. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. The way how this word faith is isolated, faith has a gematria of 44, so does Georgia, where the stones are located. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Again, perhaps this is old, and they see the United Nations and the World Court as this type of thing. Obviously, we know they don't. They haven't done this. They might exist, but they don't do this. They don't protect us and nations. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Again, same thing. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. That sounds okay to me, you know? It's just that first rule, the one that's really concerning. If we were governed by sane people, you know, none of this would be bad, except for how we get to the first number. Balance personal rights with social duties. Yeah, you know, I think people should be that way, just naturally. Prize truth, beauty. Beauty's that 74 word. Love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. So, I mean, the rules on the Georgia Guidestones, this tablet from March 22nd, they're not that bad outside of that first rule. I mean, that's going to take a genocide of a planet to get there, if the numbers we're told are correct. All right. Let's see that. So, going back further in history, if you look up the roots of the Bible, the first printed Bible was referred to as the Gutenberg Bible, or the 42-line Bible, meaning of life number. It's credited with a March 22nd, 322 publishing date. I've seen the year 1457 and 1455. Here it's saying it could be 1455 because that's the year of the lawsuit. It makes me think that the year 1455 is probably more accurate. But most often I see the date March 22nd, which is what we're focused on. So think about this. The published Bible of 66 books, March 22nd. So for those of you who think the Bible's untouched, I really invite you to think again. Gutenberg Bible with Pythagorean gematria sums to 66. Again, it's of 66 books, 39 Old Testament, 27 New. The first book is Genesis, which has the gematria of 33. If you write out the word 33, it sums to 66. There's very much a relationship between these numbers. Just in mathematics, 33 plus 33 is 66. And in gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. So, Gutenberg Bible, first published Bible, 322 coding. The police force, the National Police Force of the United States was originally the FBI. They were established March 22nd, 322. When I think of police, I think of a force that's here to protect the elite from the masses who know they're being oppressed. And when I see a phrase like slave obey your masters in the Bible with a 322 next to it, it gives me more of an insight into what this is all about. There's another passage in the Bible having to do with 322, talking about how man has wisdom now. Man and wisdom. Maybe wisdom he's not supposed to have. So yes, Bible passages corresponding with this number are of importance, no doubt about it. With regards to the Bible, when I read it, honestly, I walk away conflicted, wondering what the meaning is between two different things. And when I watch the news, very often the exact same thing happens. And I don't think it's an accident. I think it's by design. I think we've been ruled by the same class of elites for centuries, and they've been using these same tactics on us in more and more ways, from books such as Bibles, to radio programming, magazines, to television and cable news. BBC, B's the second letter, C's the third. BBC is 223, and pretty much everybody in the United States has the British Broadcasting Company on their television set if they have bunny ears. And again, it's this number, 223. The BBC is complicit in all the media propaganda we're subjected to all the time. On 9/11, they made a slip up and broadcast that Building 7 fell way before it actually fell. Whoops. With regards to religion, let's go back to Scientology real quick. In Revelation, the number 144 is used, Revelation 7:4. The word Scientology has a simple English gematria of 144. This year at Super Bowl 49, there was a commercial for Scientology, and this Super Bowl had so much to do with 144, and it's the first time I've ever seen a Scientology commercial. Scientology was established in Phoenix, where the Super Bowl was at on the 33rd parallel, but check this out with the 322 coding. L is the 12th letter. In numerology, that reduces to 3. 1 plus 2 is 3 for 12. Ron sums to 20. Simple English gematria, it would sum to 47. Either way, 47 and 20 both reduce to 2 using numerology. 4 plus 7 would be 11. 1 plus 1 would be 2. 20 is 2 plus 0 equals 2. Hubbard sums to 56 the bigger way, 29 the smaller way. 5 plus 6 is 11. 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 is 1 plus 1 equals 2. So L. Ron Hubbard becomes 322. We just reduced each name to a single digit. And further, the name Hubbard, it has this UBB sequence in it. Hubbard even has a 322 coded into it. And if you're wondering, no, I'm not related to Hubbard. I have no bloodline to the name Hubbard. It's my dad's adoptive name. He doesn't know who his dad is. He's been told his dad's last name is Greenblatt. So maybe I'm really a Greenblatt. All right. This number 322, it's also often coded into movies. It's coded on the Hoover Dam in Transformers just before it blows. It's coded on the stadium in Dark Knight Rises just before it blows. Coded into much more than that. Here's in sports. The most winningest family in the history of thoroughbred horse racing is the C.V. Whitney family. CV forms this 322 initials. And we recently saw these initials central in the Denmark shooting, which we'll get into. They have a stable they call Mary Lou Stable, where the most thoroughbred winning horses have been raised. 33 name. Probably none of this by coincidence, because who does thoroughbred horse racing? Rich elites. Eisenhower once supposedly warned the nation about the military-industrial complex. He coined that term. He did it on the date of January 1761, date with God numerology. The numerology of the word military-industrial complex sums to 322. That is the coded gematria. So his warning was probably more of a taunt. You know, this speech was now given, wow, True Seeker, 54 years ago. And he warns about the kind of world we now live in. And really, again, I'm saying this wasn't a warning. It was their plan. His plan was seen on March 20th, 2003, when we invaded Iraq on false premises. This came exactly 555 days after September 11th. 2 days later, March 22nd, 322, we would begin Operation Shock and Awe. This is the military-industrial complex. You know, in this world of capitalism we live in, we use these types of terms all the time. We don't even realize it. Venture capitalism, VC again, 223. Ventures a 33 word. Capital 26. We're talking in their words, in their numerology. We're living the way they want us to live. With Christianity, we said that the Bible was published March 22nd, and I asked you Christians to think deeply about if there's something possibly very sinister about the Bible, which I certainly think there is. Pat Robertson, a famous Christian minister, was born March 22nd, 32230. This is a date with 55 numerology. 3 plus 22 is 25, plus 30 is 55, like the word Satan. His name, Pat Robertson, with Pythagorean gematria, sums to 55, like Satan. Another hate monger from the Christian church is Fred Phelps, who established his church in the year 55. His name also sums to 55. Remember, the Gutenberg Bible is credited with a 32255 publishing date. Possibly why a Pat Robertson is picked to become what he becomes. Pat Robertson's the chancellor at Regent University, a 33 university. Pat Robertson, Jerry Falwell, all these guys have the coded names. It's sick when you really look at it, Truth Seeker. Remember when they blamed 9/11 on fags, homosexuals? Their words, not mine. These are ministers of hate using Christianity to reach out to the brain-dead masses who don't want to think, just follow. I didn't do this, I can't take credit for this, but somebody mapped this out and noticed that the shootings were 322 days apart. And if you read these shootings, often the caliber of the round coincides with these numbers. 322. Goes with the AR-15s. What do you know, Truth Seeker? Here's some ISIS headlines. The massacring of 322 people. What do you know? It makes you wonder, who's out there counting? Who's out there reporting these details? And there was more 33 coding in this story. These are just some examples, Truth Seeker. I'm not showing you everything. I'm just showing you how it's abound. Here's my city of birth, Portland, Oregon, where I fear something bad is coming. Their city seal was established on 322, no doubt by Masons. Oregon Trail, 33rd state. The synagogue of Satan, as referenced in Revelation. Their gematria, in reverse, is 223, like the flip of the number 322. Just an example of what our FBI does to us with their stories. Coded stories straight from the 322. North Korea is a false boogeyman, truth seeker. AirAsia, who's recently having all these incidents, they're established November 18th, the 322nd day of the year. This is the date Disney's only daughter, born in 33, who had a 33 name gematria, just like her mother died. They released their movie about Knights of Templar. Similar date. They released the movie Frozen on this date. Lots of curious movies come out November 18th, the 322nd day of the year. Here's that Denmark shooting with Lars Vilks. His name has the coded 33 gematria. LV is another way to code 322. He's said to be Swedish, 33. The cafe where the shooting happened at was 47. Going back to the beginning of this presentation, True Seeker, remember the Indian massacre that our nation was born out of? The date of that was 3/22/1622. So you could write that 3/22/22. The numerology of that date is 3 plus 22 plus 22. 47, the number of complete foundation. Think about our birthday, the 4th of July. The word Christian equals 47. The word Jesus, the flip, equals 74. The word cross equals 74. Crucified at 33. There's just so much, Truth Seeker. The movie Prometheus is about where humanity supposedly comes from. It comes from the planet LV223. Remember, L is 12, reduces to 3. V is 22. A multiple of 22 does not need to be reversed, so LV is like 322, 223. Ridley Scott film. The Man Who Asked You, do you not need to be entertained? Or are you not entertained? Let's close by looking at some words on gematrix.org that have 322 connections. So Jewish gematria is what we'll look at first. Satan's, so anything that Satan possesses, 322. Burn, think about all the hellfire and fire associations with Satan in the Bible. 322. They would know best, right? If they made up the story. Thriller, 322. God of Israel, 322. And this reminds me, when people say, God bless America, when elites say it, I know they're talking about something different than what the common man is talking about. Maybe they're talking about this God of Israel, where the synagogue of Satan is located. Moonshine, 322. Remember, prohibition ended in the year 33. Alcohol equals 66. We see these numbers coming together from the Bible to moonshine. What do these two things have in common? They can take people's minds in different ways. And that's what this all is about. A war of controlling people's minds. Selection. That makes me think of sports drafts. The selection is in. Some 322 stuff. Sam Champion. The Manchurian Weatherman, Cable News, Barium, Periodic Table, full of so much gematria. Daniel Ortega, Latin leader, November 11th birthday. All full of gematria. Dark blue, the color police wear, nationwide. Probably not a coincidence. Police equals 33, ran by the Freemasons. So much of this, Truth Seeker, very interesting words. Kroger's the biggest grocery chain in the nation. Just like Hagen, they're one of the biggest. Hagen's a 33 name. Kroger equals 74 with simple English gematria. All right, Truth Seeker, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to enlighten you on this 322, show you its deeper meaning, its deeper significance. The time is 3:21 right now by coincidence.